Some things are really toxic. Here's what I mean. Um, if you were going to kill Jose with bleach, you'd have to say like 1% of my body mass would have to be bleached to kill me. I'm just making up that number. I don't actually know if that's accurate. But imagine something which is very toxic, like a tenth of 1% or a hundredth of 1%. What if it was like a thousandth of 1%, 0.001%? What if it's even more toxic? So it's like 0.0001, and at some point, using a bunch of zeros gets confusing or gets annoying. And so in science, we often discuss the toxicity of common toxins using parts per million or parts per billion. It's smaller than parts per 100, which is percent. So 10%, 1%, 0.1% is 1 part per thousand. 0.01% is 1 part per 10,000, and so on. Parts per million is just a really small percentage. And it's not especially tricky. There's not a lot I need to teach you about it. It's just common on the college board exams that they'll ask you to translate parts per million into percentages or whatever. So study goal number 38 had a couple of common examples, and I'm just going to work the math for you. I'm not qualified. I'm not qualified to teach you math. I'm not a math teacher. Our school does have excellent math teachers. So, I'll just show you a trick that I use. This is all for study goal number 38. And maybe you don't need my help, but I'll try. 3.3 parts per million. And we want to make that into a percent. Okay. Now, this is the same as saying 3.3 over 1 million. And I hope that you know that that's how you write a million. Now, in order to get this into percent, we would need that, to be over 100, right? So I'm just going to move decimals. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and that would make it 100. So I'm going to do the same thing up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where the decimal goes. And then I fill those in with zeros. And there's your answer. 3.3 parts per million is 0.00033 parts per 100, which is just another way to say percent. Ta-da! I didn't actually have to do any calculations. I didn't use math. This is not a calculator situation. I just moved the decimal from over here to over there. It took 4 moves. And so I did the same 4 moves with the decimal, and then I just fill in those little dips with a 0. That's it. I'll see if I can't clear this thing out, and I'll try the other one. Oops, sorry. I hope I got this right. 24.5 parts per billion, right? So that's 24.5. There's the decimal. And that's over a billion. That's a million. So there's a billion. And thinking ahead now, I want to move where I wrote that. I want to put that over here, 24.5. Okay, so 24 parts per billion written as a percent. You know, I want to get this decimal over to here, right, to make that 100. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 moves of the decimal. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 moves of the decimal. And so, you know, it's like crossing off zeros. And so I'm just going to fill in my gaps. And there you have it. 24 parts per billion is the same as saying 0.000000245%. And you can see why we use parts per billion, right? Because it's less annoying than writing all the zeros. Now, when you see milligrams per kilogram, that's basically 1,000th over 1,000. And if you know how to do fractions, that's the same as parts per million. So 1.57 over 1 million. And then you do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 zeros. There you go. I could explain this more sometime, but I don't. It was on like one AP test, like back in the 90s, I believe. So I don't. Maybe in the aughts. I don't know if you're even going to see this, but if you ever see milligram per kilogram, just treat that as parts per million. Now, you had one more of these as your warm-up today, right? It was, please write 12.3 parts per million as a percent. And if you don't mind, I mean, I got no way to make you do this, but please pause and try it out. I'll take a second so that you can reach the device and press pause and then try this thing out, you know, write it over 1,000,000 and move the zeros and then check it out. And then I'll come back and I'll show you that answer, but this will be our last math example. So you should try one if you haven't already. So pause. And now I'm assuming that you're back from having paused. 12.3 parts per million. If I wanted to make that into hundreds, I'd have to move it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Yep. So the answer is 0.00123%. I hope you found this helpful. I apologize. I am good at math. I swear I can do this all day long, but I just don't know how they teach you math. I'm from a different country. They taught me math very, very differently. So anyway, I apologize that I'm not good at teaching you math, but I hope that helped you. You can go back and keep practicing those. This is likely to show up on the AP exam for 1 or 2 questions. The end.